You have to know when you walk away that your worth is just as important as your time that you're spending with your family. You have to know that your purpose starts with you. And it took me so long to realize that.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery, where we explore mindset, fitness, recovery, and life lessons that help people create lasting change and become the person they're capable of being. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in once again. Got a special guest, Carole Evans. Welcome.
Thanks.
I appreciate you coming on. So you're a recovery coach.
Yes.
Let's start. What led you to become a recovery coach?
Recovery court actually is where I found that I needed to repurpose my life and do something different. But it was after years of active illness and being out there probably almost 30 years using every medication I could find. And then eventually getting in trouble, finding my way to recovery court.
Yeah. There's so many of us, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
People that have similar stories that, I mean, just you saying that, I can relate to a lot of that small little blip that you just said. And it's like the recovery court component, active addiction, all of that, where it wasn't just one substance,
Mm-mm.
right?
No.
So I had my own personal drug of choice that I would funnel back to, and it always was some form of opiate, but that was never what got me started again. I never started right back up with those. Do you have a similar experience where you had your?
Yeah, mine actually started, and I didn't realize it until actually recently. Going through some of the stages of my recovery has made me kind of dig up what was going on even way back then. And I had been in an accident that caused some serious PTSD and didn't treat that right away. Got into another accident that caused a back injury. And so between the depression and the anxiety and all of the things that were going on from the accidents, I found the doctor who finally started prescribing what I found was my drug of choice. And I remember the first time I took it, like this click in my head that just kind of snapped over like, yep, that's the one. So even though I was on pain medications, it was that one benzodiazepines that it snapped in my head. So the two of them together, I realized real quick, that it wasn't letting go.
Now they're both central nervous system depressants, correct?
Mm-hmm.
One targets the opioid receptors in the brain. The other one, I guess I'm not as familiar with. I know the benzodiazepines, they're a lot prescribed for anxiety.
For anxiety, a lot of things that I read about it and things like that were that it is alcohol in a pill. And I was never one. I didn't like alcohol. I didn't drink a lot of alcohol. I was the type that even in full-blown active illness could go to the bar and leave half a drink sitting on the table because I didn't like the taste of alcohol. I could walk away from it. But I could take multiple of, the Xanax and just be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
Even though it had the same effects as the alcohol did.
It
always lowers your inhibitions.
Yeah.
It one of the side effects is actually even stealing, things like that. And it's like written side effects that are on the warnings from it.
I know people that you mentioned stealing that took Xanax recreationally. It wasn't, and so they're taking more than what a doctor would prescribe, and they got retail frauds for stealing like random stuff, and then they'd be banned from stores, and they never remembered actually.
Nope. I went shopping once. I drove all the way to Birch Run, went shopping, and bought I paid for it. I bought multiple items, drove all the way home. At the time I lived in Beaverton, and had all of these items, knew enough to hide them from my husband at the time, but didn't remember how I got to the store, how I got home, how I took the stuff into the house. I didn't remember any of that. And it was all because I was taking the Xanax at the time.
Yeah. So my experience with those, and maybe this was probably a really good thing, because I was always like, I was, whenever I used something, it was like I would kind of go overboard with it. Like, just, they say an addict is sometimes not addicted to the substance, but just to more.
Yeah.
And
that's for sure.
One thing I never, like with the Xanax and the benzodiazepines in general, for some reason or whatever, with me personally, I would take, because I was prescribed them for a while, and I would take them, and it would be, I'd make it 45 minutes, and I would be snoozing.
Yeah.
I could not stay awake with them. They'd just knock me out, even if that was the only thing I took.
I don't know how I stayed awake on them. Sometimes I didn't, but I mean, sometimes I'd be passing out, just like somebody who does, heroin or anything else. I would be that way too if I took, which I usually did, more than what I was supposed to take. But I mean, I was prescribed 3 a day, and I was taking multiples of 10 at least a day, plus the opiates. So I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how I'm sitting here today on a regular basis, and I don't know how I didn't overdose at some point, which I might have, and I just don't even know it. I don't.
Yeah.
It was all bad.
Yeah.
It was all bad. There was plenty of times I woke up not knowing what happened the day before. Or
I can relate to not knowing how we made it through, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, we both have a purpose here, right?
Yeah.
So let's get back to that, because we can sit here and I'm not big on the war stories, but I think it's important to know like where you came from to where you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
So more back to the purpose, like how you turned. I just want to hear about how you've turned all of that pain to purpose.
Okay. I like I said, in active illness, I had, the accidents, the untreated mental illness from that. I ended up having surgery, a female surgery, which is common for some women, to have a full hysterectomy. Well, nobody warns you of the mental side effects of something like that.
That's related to hormone changes,
yes,
correct?
Yes. And if you mix the medications I was on with the fact that I had what they called acute menopause, because that's what hysterectomies do, is they put you into an acute menopause, and you put those items together with the substance use, you have multiple things going on in your brain. I mean, I went from my whole life loving music and singing to not being able to remember the words to a song that I knew my whole life. I couldn't remember simple directions. There was just a lot of things clouding in my brain. And I remember telling somebody that was close to me, I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what is wrong, but I feel like I'm going crazy. And that person reacted in such a bad way that it scared me to reach out anymore. So
Man.
I didn't tell anybody what was going on with me, because I didn't want them to think I was just losing my mind.
Imagine if someone would have met you with empathy and kindness and in that dark moment.
Right.
I talk about it all the time. Those small individual moments, the interactions that we don't think matter. Had Beth Urich on last week, and she didn't realize how big of an impact she had on me in my early recovery just by greeting me with this loving energy. Right.
Yep.
And it's like, I just think hearing your story, the impact that negative reaction to you trying to be vulnerable.
Yep.
Had.
And it was with somebody who, I truly felt safe with and thought loved and cared about me. But instead the reaction was, get away from me, you're nuts, and I thought, okay, that's it. I can't talk about it. So what do you do? I self-medicated, and I felt like that is what was helping me. And then eventually, just pulled myself out of society. I was in my room, staying home, avoiding people, doing all of those things until I got in trouble. Once I got in trouble at 50 years old, went to jail for the first time in my life, and I thought, what am I doing? But I remember when the door locked and one of the deputies came up and said that I couldn't have my medications, which I made sure were all filled and I brought with me. That's how naive I was. I thought they would still give me my medications. They said, you cannot have those medications. And then the door locked. And that's the other sound that I'll never forget, is that door locking, because I took a sigh of relief and thought, I don't have to do that anymore. I can't have them. I have no choice. So I had no choice but to sit there and withdraw for the first 7 or 8 days that I was in there. And then I started hearing about recovery court. And then my family on the outside were pushing, letting them know, because my charges didn't reflect an addiction problem. My charges reflected a stealing problem. And so recovery court wasn't even looking at me until they actually talked to my family, and they talked to me. And the coordinator came and saw me in jail and asked me, are you ready to, because my whole family said she's not going to admit she has a problem. I was ready to admit I had a problem. And I think that was the next biggest thing, is I was ready to say, I need help. I can't do this. And so I got into recovery court, and I started hearing about recovery coaching, and I started hearing about community service and giving back to the community and doing different, just doing something different. And that's where it all started. Aside from reconnecting with my family, my kids, my grandkids, doing things to rebuild those relationships, I was also able to rebuild the things that were going on around me.
So one thing you said that really clicked for me, it was actually the sound of the jail door. When you said that, I could so I hear it every week now, multiple times as we go into the jail. And it's still like every time I hear it, but for me, my initial response when I was arrested and I heard that door for the first time, it was like panic, like trying to, like in my brain, I was climbing the walls, looking for a hole, trying to, like a wild animal that was caged that's panicking to get out. That's what I felt like. And that went on for like 3 weeks.
See, I was a little bit opposite. So I was fearful, obviously. But when I got there, I was living from couch to couch. I didn't have a place to live. The boots that were on my feet had holes in them. It was winter, and I was going around with like wet socks and holy shit. Like that's where my life had ended up. And so when I got there, I felt safe, and I felt like I was going to be okay. I mean, of course, I had to maneuver what all goes on in jail and learn to stand up for myself real quick. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I was 31 or 32, like learning how to jail.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we know chaos.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff was all foreign to me. I mean, I only done sleepovers in jail prior to that. So it definitely takes some getting used to. And getting locked up was easy enough to where I threw myself down and surrendered. But very similar to Adam with them doors shutting. It doesn't get me when we walk in and out of the jail now, because the recovery pod is the same pod that I was in. But when you were telling the story, I could relive that first time of me going through the initial move-in day.
Yeah.
Move-in day.
Well, it's like going back to middle school, right? I mean, everybody's they're going through their things. They're withdrawing, or they're, scared or angry or whatever it is. And so you put all these emotions in one spot, especially with females, and you try to get through that. You have to have mad respect for people like Marissa,
Mm-hmm.
who puts up with all of us.
Yeah.
So,
She's an angel, man.
yeah, she
for
is.
real.
She was one of them that made me feel safe. But that's, I think, because that click of the door made me realize that I couldn't use the substances anymore. That same sound, even when I go in now to coach somebody or to have a chat with somebody, I feel safe when I'm in there, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah.
And I feel safe when some of my girls go in. I know I hate to say that out loud, but they're not dying on the street, you know. And if they go in because they were using, I know they're safe when they get in there. So,
Well, I can't say I haven't, prayed for people I know to go to jail, because in my situation, I needed to be removed from the ability to get the substance.
that's
because
exactly it. That desperation of
as bad as
trying to find more.
I wanted to quit so bad. That evening, you're like, just, like my experience was I felt like I wasn't bringing anything to the world, that I was just existing. I thought the world would be a better place without me. And every night after the day of, manipulating, conning, stealing, whatever it took to get money, to get high, I would be in this position where I was just like, I want to quit. I want to quit, but yeah, I'm going to quit tomorrow. And then there would be times I'd even call treatment centers, and it was like 2 hours on the phone, and I'm like, I'll just get high one more time. Because in those moments, you're so anxious, you're so sick, like, and with the substance I was using, it was starting, those withdrawals were starting, and it was just easier to be like, fuck it, I'm going to use one more time and then start this process. And as soon as I got high, it was like, and then this
Vicious
whole
cycle
cycle continued.
Yep.
But so I had to be plucked off the street, like, against my will, at least for those first 3 weeks. I mean, not saying my addiction was worse than anybody's, but, like, you can't compare because it's apples to oranges. But I was so in such a dark place that I needed those clicks, the door, and then the 3 weeks to really, like, process it all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I had to sit there for a while too, almost 6 months, I think, 5.5 months. And then I had the mandatory rehab that comes with recovery court. And they sent me all the way up to Sault Ste. Marie because they said you have to go as far away from your people, places, and things as possible. And I just started creating new bonds and new, you have to wait the 2 years to be able to talk to people that were like on your team to help you. But now that I work in recovery, I now work with the therapists and the people that were super helpful for me in recovery. And I go back up there quite a bit to, tell my story to give back.
Yeah.
To the house that saved my life.
The old phrase, you got to give it away to keep it.
Yep.
Which is, at its core, it's service work, right?
Yeah.
Even just sharing.
Yeah.
It's service work.
Yep.
Which is, we talk about your purpose, and my purpose is simply just help others in any way. It doesn't have to be specifically people in recovery. It's just anybody I can.
Well, and the one thing I've noticed is in recovery, like, you think that, well, I didn't die in active illness, so now I'm in recovery. And as long as I just ignore all these things and just stay in recovery, everything gets better. But that's not realistic. That is not realistic at all. And everything starts to get better, but you have to put in the work and you have to do the things that, daily.
We've had this talk numerous times, and both at the juvenile center and at the recovery pod. We do the mad, sad, and then gratitude. And somebody that was in there for a short period of time, were you grateful for recovery? And it was just like, I didn't say anything negative in the moment. I'm like, no. staying sober is the easy part of recovery.
Sometimes,
especially when we're locked up. I'm like, you're not even scratching the surface yet to recovery. You're not using right now, and that's because you're locked up. Not to say that I do believe this person is going to succeed, but it rubbed me wrong because there's a whole lot of layers to peel back to get to where we're in recovery.
Absolutely.
And where we are working it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that don't have that sustained period, right? Or they have a hiccup and they jump back on. But if you're not working your recovery, it's pretty dicey.
And that's the piece. So we work with a lot of families and women with children who don't have their children or can't talk to their children, and that was, something I had to work through too. My children were adults when I got into recovery. But we had to fix a lot of things before we could go back to having normal conversations, and it took years, for that to take place. But in that process, I learned that recovery is just not that easy. I had to learn that when my child doesn't talk to me and it hurts my whole heart, I have to want recovery for myself enough and know my worth so that I could get through that day without getting high to cover up the fact that my child's not talking to me. And if you don't have custody of your children, or you have, court involvement where you can't see your children, or you get to hug them for 5 minutes and then they're ripped away from you again, you have to know when you walk away that your worth is just as important as your time that you're spending with your family. You have to know that your purpose starts with you. Mm-hmm. And it took me so long to realize that.
Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. Cliche I say all the time. I was just talking with two people about it probably an hour and a half ago. Can't pour from an empty cup.
Nope.
And that's self-care, at its core, because you can't help others if you're not taking care of yourself, right?
Nope. And that's what I'm saying, like recovery being a constantly having to work for it. I recently, in the last year or so, started having, I'm getting older. Mm-hmm. I have 5 grandkids now, so I could probably say that I am 56 this year, I think, 57 maybe. But there was symptoms of like menopause kind of creeping back in that I didn't realize, and they just kind of came out of nowhere. And I really thought I had already gone through that, so I didn't think nothing of it. But I started noticing old habits, wanting to sleep all day. If I wasn't working, I was sleeping. Super depressed, trying to reach out for anything that made me feel better to feel better. And I thought, what the heck is going on? Like, I did all the things, I'm doing all the things that recovery taught me, but I wasn't taking care of my mental health. And I was taking care of everybody else and making sure the kids are happy, making sure the grandkids are happy, and which is great. And I love spending every minute that I spend with them, but I wasn't taking care of me at all. And so all of those things started sliding back in. I started noticing I was shopping again way too much. I was paying attention to things that I had no business paying attention to.
Shopping can be a void filler.
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
dopamine hit.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, I didn't like really go downhill to where, I was back at the casino or doing the things that I did when I was in active illness, but I could see myself heading that way. So the fear when you're in recovery and you don't want to let your kids down is, I would just rather not be here. You know what I'm saying? And when your brain starts telling you things like, it'd just be easier to not be here, you got to do something different. You definitely have to do something different.
Oh, that's really good that you had the awareness, though. So that's like a huge component to my recovery is just self-reflection. I try and do it every night where I'm like, okay, what happened throughout the day? What was my participation? Like I look at how did I feel? Did I get angry? Like if I'm driving down the road raging out because someone cut me off, spiritually I'm not fit right in that moment. So what's causing that? And like I know I did my biggest trigger is character defect was avoidance. And once I see like I'm keen to that because I know that's like one of the biggest triggers for me for potential relapse in the future. If I start avoiding things in general that are hard, and it can even be like, I gotta call and make a dentist appointment. And if I'm putting that off, that's very small, but if I'm starting to avoid that type of stuff, that's a sign to me like I gotta get right.
Right.
I gotta get spiritually right. What's going on with me?
Yeah.
Because it always happens to it for me at least. It's like emotional and spiritual seem to be the ones that kind of fade first.
Yep. Mine being the hormone thing, mine was more like an impulse control type thing. I was losing that, and I was, like I said, sleeping whenever I could. And not sleeping through the night where a healthy sleep was happening, but sleeping whenever I could.
Right.
If I could sleep 15 minutes, I would take that 15 minutes and sleep. And then, just didn't, I don't know, I just stopped caring about things again. And I don't even know where it came from or what was happening. So it scared me. It scared me enough to want to start doing something. So that's when I just started walking every day, putting music on my ears, making myself go for a walk. My dog, I love my dog. That's why I have such a big, close bond with my dog. But that dog made me get up and go for a walk every day, even if it was just 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
That dog made me
dog.
get up. He would look at me like, you have to get off this couch. And so we would go for that walk. And I noticed that the 15-minute walks were turning into 45 minutes to an hour. And I was feeling better. And I thought, well, that's weird. And then my mom passed away in January. And she was only 75. I say only, I mean 75. To me is not that old. But she had chronic COPD. And she got sick and she just didn't want to fight anymore. And my mom's mental health has always been a battle for her. Like I can remember way back when I was a kid, and I think a lot of the things that I battle stemmed from that. And I don't even want to start going back there because when she passed away, I realized a lot of things about myself. I'm a lot like her. We were both born on Halloween.
That's cool. You guys shared a birthday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can shut myself out real easy. And my mom, when she passed away, had not left her house except for to go to the hospital in 15 years. And I could see myself doing things like that. And I thought, this is right around the age that my mom shut out the world, closed the door, lived off of retirement, and just made do and hoped that we would find time to come to her and do things like that, to spend time with family. Like Facebook was, to my mom, was like her whole social life, because that's how she kept up with the grandkids and the great grandkids and did all the things. Well, when she died, I didn't leave her side. When she first got sick, I stayed right by her side, and she went into the nursing home, went into hospice. And I still stayed by her side and thought all the things, like all the things you want to hear your parents say. But she was not altogether. Once they put her in hospice, she was on medications that didn't make her right. So I realized in those moments, sitting next to her side, I have to forgive her. I have to let go of all of the things. And then I have to grieve the fact that the person who gave me life is no longer with us, because she was like, in her mind, she was already gone. And so when she passed away, I still had like that depression piece that was kind of taken over, and I didn't know where it was coming from. And I had the grief and the loss of my mom, because it was kind of like losing my dad all over again too. And he's been gone for 30 years. So I thought, this is weird. Like, you feel like an orphan. At 50 something years old, I felt like an orphan. But I thought, okay, it's time to do something different. And I have my mentor, my person, my go-to is my boss, Ricardo. And he's been absolutely like a champion for self-care. And he knows I'm a big self-reflector. So he knows he can just say one little thing and I'll be like, okay, I better look at that. You know what I mean?
Yep. He plants the seed.
Yes, he plants that seed and then I water
it.
it. So he says to me, because he called to check on me after my mom died, and I said, I can't stop crying and I can't stand it. And I don't even know why I'm crying. Like, most of the time I was, because I still was battling all these emotions of, the relationship that we had and all the things that we went through. So I thought, I just can't stop crying. And he goes, have you gone to the gym? Because he had noticed.
He's a gym guy. I've met him a few
in
times.
October, though, he became my self-care partner for this year. And so I started going to the gym to impress him, Got to impress the boss. So I thought, well, my self-care goal this year would be go to the gym 3 times a week. So I was hitting the treadmill, and then I'd go tan. Or I would do a couple things, and then I'd go tan. And I thought, never thought to lift weights or do anything like that. Well, in October, I decided he can do like 130 plus pull-ups when he's at the gym. And I thought, I'm going to do a pull-up. So I started this pull-up thing for myself. And only 3% of women in the United States can do pull-ups. So now I have like this big goal that I want to hit. And I cannot do a pull-up. Like, I cannot. Yet. But I also couldn't do a dead hang. Like, I would swing, and now I'm doing like a minute 14-second dead hangs, and
That's
I'm
pretty impressive.
Going to the gym, and it's like me versus me, and I'm going to the gym like 6-7 days a week because I want to do that pull-up so bad.
It's amazing how like just a small, like, not to say it's a small goal, because it's a big hill to climb, but just any goal can just establish a drive in an individual like that.
Yep. But he had asked me, he said, you can't stop crying. You're sitting around your house. You're looking at your mom's things, because a lot of her things ended up at my house. And he said, so what are you going to do about it? Like, are you going to go to the gym? And I said, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym just to get off the phone. I thought, whatever, I'm going to go to the gym. Well, then I sat there and I thought, all right, just go to the gym. Even if you just walk in the door. I didn't feel like it. Well, I started lifting weights, and I started doing the things like watching the videos about how to get your first pull-up. And so I started doing the actual arm, like lifting weights and things. And I was all excited because I did a 30-second dead hang. So the next time he called me, like the next day or 2 days later, he said, so how's it going? And I said, I feel better. And I was all excited, and I was talking. He goes, you went to the gym, didn't you? And I said, I did go to the gym. He goes, do you see the difference? Your voice is excited. You're not, like, you're going to have grief, and you're going to be crying, and you're going to, you're going through a loss. But you hit the gym, and it changed your mindset. Even if it's just for a couple hours, it changed your mindset. And so in the process, I start getting, like, people are noticing and telling me, wow, you look great. And I've lost 100 pounds.
Woo!
I know.
Congrats.
I have
That's
lost
awesome.
100 pounds.
A huge accomplishment.
It is a huge accomplishment. But I realized, like, I still have that mental piece where even right now, I'm like, do I have a fat roll? Do I have, you know what I mean? Like, constantly, I feel like I still have that 100 pounds on me. Like, I can still look in the mirror and beat myself up. even though I'm working hard and doing all the things, and people are saying, wow, you look great. And
It's funny you say that.
you just don't believe that.
Not funny, but ironic, because I still see high school senior Adam that weighs 135 pounds and, used to be called little guy all the time. I still see that a lot.
Yeah.
When I look in the mirror, even it's to some, maybe not clinical. I think everybody has some level of body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Where it maybe not clinical, where we're like, you're not starving yourself. You're not going to the gym.
I eat more
8 times
protein
a day. Yeah.
ever done in my life.
That would be like clinical body dysmorphia, where you're working out 8 hours a day, you're not eating, like,
Right.
Or, there's tons of examples, but that, I think, and anybody who's into like fitness, maybe you can concur. You kind of already did, but I'll get in the mirror and I'll be like, I'll be working out and I'm like, is my left arm bigger than my right arm? Like,
Yeah.
or this shoulder, like, I'll critique the front anterior delt is lagging behind the ladder, and it's like, and that's why bodybuilding in general is a sport, right? It's an art and it's a sport, because you're constantly there's this piece of artwork where the guy has the ice pick and the hammer and he's like chiseling away.
Yeah.
And it's a stone, and that's representative of what it is. So
Oh yeah, immensely. I mean, we've had this conversation numerous times, and I got into working out for my mental health. I was a little dude, and it slowly changed. I mean, it didn't. I mean, how I worked and what I was working for, but it is still like mental health is my first thing. Walking the dog
That's huge.
like, I'm not a cardio guy, like ever in my life.
Couldn't tell me that.
And
he's walking.
but
all the
with
time.
walking the dog, which was leisure, and then it was Walktober. You got to sign this up. We got a level up team, and like, all right. Well, half an hour gap in my schedule from work, I'm gonna get on the treadmill, get some steps in, and now that's just the go-to. Like, I am not gonna go sit around in the chair. I'm not a talker,
Right.
so I'm not gonna walk around and bull crap with people in the gym and ruin their workouts. Like, throw earbuds in and I'm on the treadmill, walking. And with my dog, I mean, very, very much the same. With when we got her, I was in a bad spot. And, people will ask, she a rescue? I'm like, yep, she rescued me. Because
That's Cody.
I mean, I was at the end of my rope. And I don't know how much hanging on I had left when we ended up getting her. And, I mean, that was 4 years ago now. And, I mean, nonstop. And, I mean, she's every bit as my soulmate as my wife is. I mean, we have our routines, and she won't leave me alone. If I eat, as soon as silverware hits that porcelain plate, she's up. Let's go. It's time. If I try and sit down, she jumps up on my chest, and she's a 55-pound dog, but she's up on my chest, posturing up, like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not moving until you kind of sit up and kick that footrest down. Like, we go.
Yep.
We walk. It's
Yep.
what we do.
That's Cody. I got him as a rescue. I saw his face on a post from the Gladwin shelter, and they said this dog has been here for, I can't remember, 100 days or something, and then somebody adopted him, and they brought him back because he does not like cats. He will chase a cat. He does not like cats. And they brought him back, and I thought, oh my gosh, that poor dog. So I showed my sister. I'm like, look at this dog. And she goes, oh my gosh, go get him. His name is Cody. And I said, okay, whatever. So I drive up there. The whole time I'm thinking my little dog that I had at the time had just been hit by a car and died. So I was still sad from that. So I thought, I am not getting another dog, but I'm going to go up and check this dog out just to see what the deal is. It'll probably be gone by the time I get there. He was there, and he instantly took to me in a way that I've never, it was I don't know. I feel
They're
like
angels.
my dad or somebody is like part of his soul because he watches over me. He will be walking. He always checks to make sure I'm within 2 feet of him. If we're sitting somewhere, there could be 70 people around. He is right under a table or somewhere, just staring at me like, "You still there, Mom? Still good?" Just constantly watching me and checking on me. And so if I'm laying around a lot or just having a day where I just don't want to do anything, he's nudging me like, "Come on." He'll nudge me to get off my phone.
Yep.
"Come on, let's go."
Both of our dogs, Lainey and Luca, we were driving down the road, had the full family in the car, about hit Lainey, jumps in the vehicle with us. We're like, so we ended up taking her down. Nobody claimed her. All right, we'll take you. Come on home. Same thing with Luca, she's a border collie. Luca's,
That's what Cody is.
yeah, they're super high energy. Like, and then Luca is we did the whole Embark DNA test on him because we're like, he's just let's see what he actually is. And he's like 50% husky and I think 35% Dachshund, which is quite the combo there.
Mm-hmm.
Cody looks like a corgi in the face with the wrong legs.
yeah. And so, like Luca, I almost hit him driving home. It was raining. I opened the door. He was so scared. He's been abused. But I'm like, "Come here, buddy." And he runs right by me, jumps in the car. I'm like, all right. So I fed him, took him to the pound or the shelter. They kept him. We fostered him to see if he would get along with Lainey. They got along great. It was like 2 peas in a pod right from when they met. We're like, all right, we'll keep you. And then, I mean, Lainey's, every time I come home from work or I get home from anywhere, she herds me. So that's the border collie.
Yep.
I don't know if Cody does this
Yes,
for
he
you.
does.
But she wants me to give her a treat and then go outside. They have a fenced-in yard. So she'll like jump and hit me on the side with her paws like that to get me to walk a specific way.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
Cody nudges me, but yeah.
Yeah, with his snout or
Yep.
something. Yep.
Yep.
Dogs
He'll
are a
do it to
blessing.
take my phone out of my hand. And I realized that he it's almost like he catches on. So we set 2 self-care goals every year when we do with Peer 360. It's a requirement to have 2 self-care goals and to be accountable for them. You have an accountability partner and you have to talk about it at every staff meeting. You have to talk to your accountability partner. You have to be engaged with your self-care. It's like mandatory for us to take care of ourselves. And my 2 goals, the one was to hit the gym 3 times a week, which has now escalated to can't miss a day because I don't like when my arms aren't sore.
Right, yeah.
And the other one was to avoid social media at least 1 day a week, where I just don't go on social media whatsoever.
Like a digital detox.
Yep. So I, because I noticed at the time that I set that goal, there was a lot of political things going on. And every time I went on social media, I was either getting angry or sad or fearful or, just all the different mixed emotions that was going on with voting and just everything that was going on. The hate on social media is ridiculous. And then like we were talking earlier about people's opinions on Narcan or whether or not addiction is a choice and things like that. And when you constantly are reading all that negativity, it just tends to stick in your brain to a point where you can't let it go. And then I've even noticed when I'm going through something and I do that doom scroll where I'm on TikTok and I'm watching videos that I can relate to, I get mad about things that I'm not even mad about anymore because 6 months ago, this happened in my life and I can relate to one video. Well, then the doom scroll kind of attaches you to the next and the next and the next. And by the time I've watched 6 or 7 videos, I'm mad again, or I'm sad again, or I'm, going through all the things. So I notice I have to just not. And the more I put my phone down, the more I'm outside with Cody, or we go for a walk, or I go hit the gym, or I do more work and I'm more productive. So more and more, I'm putting my phone down. Like I'm not even half the time paying attention to it anymore. Like not near what I used to. So,
That's the same thing as like the shopping or gambling or sex or, I mean, it's a quick dopamine hit. Like so.
Yeah, it gets really scary when you just don't feel right in your head and something and you don't know what it is. And I definitely don't want to burden my kids by saying, hey, I don't feel, because I feel like I was enough of a burden on my children when I was in active illness. So I feel like I put enough on them where I just want them to see the beautiful sides of recovery. I want them to see that recovery is healthy and life is normal as normal can be for where I'm at in my life. And so I try to keep those things. But when you're sitting home and I live alone and it's just this constant dread of nothing's getting better, everything's getting worse, how is this happening? And I'm coming up on 7 years in recovery. So I feel like that's a transitional thing too. Because what they say, like 1, 3, 7, and 10, even with marriage or relationships or anything, those are significant years where it's time for a change or it's time to level up.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
So that's what I've been doing. And I decided to just change everything again. So I changed my people, places, and things again. I started doing different meetings for myself. I started doing different, going to the gym and working out. I started dieting and now it's like not even dieting to me. It's just healthier eating. I mean, I'll still throw down a cheeseburger because I love a good cheeseburger or a piece of pizza, but I don't do chips anymore. I don't even want them anymore. Like I would rather have carrots and sneak a little ranch on it. You know what I'm saying? Than to grab a bag of chips, so I just started making healthier choices with that. And I started being able to spend more time with my grandkids, with my adult kids, with just doing different things in life and making more time for the things that matter to me. And just real quick, after my mom died, I realized that my peace is important. And by peace, I mean my peace of mind. I mean the lack of chaos and drama. When I first got into recovery, chaos was awesome.
Yeah, and drama can be an addiction.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome because it carried me through from one day to the next. And I hated everything. My first year of recovery, I hated everything. Nothing felt good. Nothing looked good. Nothing was good, but I knew it was coming. You know what I'm saying? And then the cool thing about recovery court is when you go into recovery court and do your check-ins, even to have Judge Beal sit up there and clap and cheer you on and know every little thing. I could say something my first week of recovery court, and then a year into recovery court, he would ask me about that one thing. He got to know each individual personally, and he would talk to you personally and say, but look what you did now that you were talking about a year ago, and then cheer for you. He remembers. And he remembered that. And then, he had mentioned when he did the podcast with you that he loves running into participants on the streets and hearing, I do it. If I see him out somewhere, like even though I work as a recovery coach and I see him on a regular basis when I'm advocating for somebody or doing those things, when I run into him at a gas station, I want to run up to him and be like, hey, I have almost 7 years. You know what I mean? Like I want to tell him all the things and just keep that cheering going because I know that he's genuine.
Well, tell you a little story here. So I get a letter in the mail and it says 47th Circuit Court.
42nd?
42nd. 42nd Circuit Court, Michael J. Beal. I was like, because I've gotten those before, and it's traumatic. Like when you open it, and you got a court date or something, and I'm like, oh crap. And it's all the clippings from the most recent articles that I had written, and then I'm like, I think it's really cool that you send those to me. You have your assistant do that, right?
No.
He's like, no, I clip
He
them
sent me.
individually.
He
I'm
saw
like,
an article I did in the news,
yep.
and he sent me the clipping, and basically was like, "I see you, I see you." And I thought that was the coolest thing. But same thing, you get it, and it said Michael J. Veal. And I realized, like, I got an email one time. It was after I did the commercial for ITCMI, because I work in the tribal communities from over here, Saginaw Chip, to all the way up to Hannahville with the Potawatomi tribe up there. And he saw the commercial or something. I can't remember what it was, but he had sent me an email, and it said his actual name and not like the court or the secretary and I thought, oh my gosh, I just got an email from, like, I felt like it was wrong to open it. Like, you're not supposed to open that. But it was an IC. Like, I'm cheering. I'm still cheering for you. And the fact that you still have that, like, people tell you when you're in recovery court that it's your safety net. And then right before you graduate, I don't know if you felt this way, but I was scared to death. I even told her, like, you can wait to graduate me, because I wasn't ready. I was more than ready.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I thought, I am not ready to lose that safety net. And I did feel like I lost the safety net, and, the calling in every day, or the having to go.
The color line.
Yeah, to go for color line, or to do all the things. And I still called for a little while, just because it was such a habit that I would still call. And I thought, okay, so my safety net is gone. And then something like that happens. You run into Judge Beal, and he's cheering for you. And you think, oh, the people change, just like recovery. Faces change. People change. People grow. People don't grow. People do things that people do.
Right.
And, but it's still there. Like, that safety net is still there. If I were to walk into the courthouse today and say, I am really struggling and I'm scared, I don't feel like there would be anybody that would turn me away and say, we're not going to help you.
Yeah. I see it too as, like, all of our clients, everybody who I speak to about my background that I'm vulnerable with and I share my story with, they become part of my safety net, willing or unwilling, because they don't have to be willing to help me, but just the thought of, like, well, everybody knows I'm in recovery. So my thought, anyway, is if I ever get in a dark place and I'm close to relapse, and I have this enormous safety net of people that will help me.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't help me. Maybe it's just like, I'm thinking I'm going to go out to the bar and have a drink, and I walk into that bar, and there's someone over there that knows me and knows I'm in recovery, and I'm like,
that's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's not even, because I was born and raised in a time where, kids are seen and not heard, and what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. So asking for help for me is huge, huge.
Mm-hmm.
If I call you and say, Adam, I'm in a bad way, like, I need your help. It took me a long time and a lot of hurt or fear to make that phone call. And so I don't reach out very easily. So when I do reach out and I get disappointed or let down or betrayed, or however you want to look at it, I will shut down completely. And then I crawl back into this little hole of just keep the door closed, don't let anybody in. But then I'll realize when I'm really bad or in a really bad way, that's when I'll run into somebody at the store, or I'll go to a meeting and hear exactly what I need to hear that day. Or the readings are always, speaking to me, or, and then working in the recovery community it's just a blessing. Mm-hmm. It gives you purpose, and it's a blessing, because there's many times where, you go to help somebody and they're getting out of jail, and they had that same pair of holy shoes on that I had on when I went, and I get to buy them a pair of shoes to take them to rehab, or, do something different. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's why I need to make sure I still, pick up the phone. The cool thing is, like, my kids and I are at a level now where if I'm having a bad day, I can call them and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. And I don't feel like I'm being a burden. I feel like I'm being a human being that's having a bad day. And it took me a long time to get to that too.
Well, so I want to circle back because what you're talking about is what you mentioned earlier, like the concept of what we do in the detention center or justice center, juvenile justice center, and the jail. When we open up the group, it's go around, ask, are you mad or sad about anything? And then we stack gratitude on it. So when I was in treatment, there was this big overarching theme. Everybody would be like, what's up, man? What's going on? You got something? Talk about it. Talk about it. Like that was the overarching theme is get it off your chest, because if you let it stew, then it's gonna fester and turn into something way bigger, right? So when we go around and we do the mad or sad, it's get that off your chest. It could be like, we hear it a lot, like my lawyer won't get back to me, my probation officer won't return my calls, they haven't visited me yet to tell me what's going on. Like sometimes just verbalizing that allows us to process it. And then when you can, over time, you're able to vent, get that stuff off your chest, and then you circle it back with stacking gratitude on it. You subconsciously train your brain to automatically, when you think like I'm pissed, so I'll give you a real life experience. I had a little dipshit moment where I hit my auto stop and tailgate button. Didn't realize it. Just spoke at Harbor Hall. I'm on natural high. I'm like, that was awesome. I really feel like some of the stuff I said resonated with people. And I get back to the hotel and I back into a light pole. Dent my tailgate, right? So I'm pissed about that. And in the moment, I got out and looked at it, and I'm like, in my brain's reaction, automatically in that moment, I started laughing, because if you would have told me I would have a dent in a pretty nice truck 10 years ago, I'd been like, would I take it? Yeah, please. Like, so automatically I'm thinking, well, I'm grateful I have this truck to be able to back into a light pole with.
True. Yep.
So it's just like mental training, right?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to that. I really do. And accountability and doing things that are beneficial to your emotional health. Learning how to not react.
Yep.
You know, setting your phone down when somebody texts you and you're just like really wanting to say what you're wanting to say, but being able to actually set your phone down or set a person down and be like, I can't do this with you anymore. Like, I have to put myself first. And learning how to do that is, I don't know if it comes with time or what it is, but it has been one of my greatest blessings.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to say, you know what, I'm sorry. I am a human being. I make human being mistakes. Being able to say, I'm sorry. Being able to allow myself forgiveness and grace, and then take accountability for my actions or whatever it is, and then be able to grow from that, or be able to hold my head high and say, I did the best I could in a moment. Those were things I couldn't allow myself in active illness or early recovery. You know, in early recovery, I got lucky. It was COVID.
Right.
So I could put a mask on to go to the store, and I could hide behind that mask and not have to hold my head up. I could just be, you know, this person who hid walking through the store because COVID allowed me to do that. But eventually I had to stand up. And eventually I had to take accountability. Recovery Court again gave me that piece too.
Accountability is not just bad stuff either. It's good stuff.
Correct. Yes.
You know, like I originally started thinking about accountability and I was like, it's like all the bad. Like that's all me. And then I had to start thinking about like, oh, well, when I had 90 days, like I'm accountable to that. That's me too. Like,
yep.
It's the community around me. It's the meetings. It's all this. But, you know, I did it.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of good and bad when it comes to accountability. You got to take both, right?
Correct. Yep. And I still do that. I still have, and multiple people around me, you know, they'll celebrate, oh, I got a year. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And, oh, well, it's because of you and the group and, you know, this or that. And it's like, no, it's because of you, because you got up every day and you made a choice to stay.
To come to the group.
To come to the groups, to be part of the community, to do the things that you needed to do. Yep, to learn your lessons, to grow, to do all of the things that you had to do in that first year, to learn how to cope with life and emotions without using.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Well, Carole, I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
I don't know about that. I get nervous.
There's so many things we can talk about.
Right.
So
right.
I want to thank you guys. Don't forget, whether you're listening or watching, click that subscribe button. Help us grow our viewers and become part of the mission so we can share the message that change is possible. Love you all.